Que bueno, mi gente. Long time no see. Gennady Golovkin still the man at middleweight. He dispatched the Vanis Martirosyan on Saturday night at the StubHub Center. And we all saw that coming from a mile away. Second round knockout. However, it's not his fault that he was in the ring with Martirosyan, man. He's not the one who failed the drug test. You know, he had to come up with an opponent on 6-week notice. They had to get somebody in there who fit the bill, who was willing to take less money since it was going to be a smaller venue, since it wasn't going to be on pay-per-view. He did all the right things. You know, Canelo failed the drug test. He's the one who was in the wrong, so Golovkin was put in a tough spot. He did all the right things. He stayed on the date, stayed busy for the fans, stayed busy for himself to avoid the ring rust. Also, he moved the fight off of pay-per-view onto regular HBO, and he moved it to the best small venue in boxing, the StubHub Center. Did everything right, and dispatched the Vanis. You know, could have took Vanis lightly, still trained for the fight, still took care of business. So Golovkin should be taking no flack for anything he did the past couple months. Handled himself professionally and stayed number one at middleweight. There are guys nipping at his heels, and middleweight is sort of heating up a bit for several reasons. And it's not just that these top fighters, these top contenders are lining it up. It's that some of them are faltering a little bit, and that makes it even more interesting. Danny Jacobs looked terrible in his last fight. So you ask yourself, did Jacobs just have an off night, or did Golovkin sort of shorten his career in their fight? Did he take too much damage over 12 rounds against Golovkin? It didn't look like it, but you never know. You take shots from Golovkin over 12 rounds, that could take something off of you. And in his last fight, you ask yourself, you know, did Golovkin do some damage there? Did Golovkin slow him down a little bit, or was he just flat? And the verdict's still out on that. We're not going to tell till the next fight, the next fight after that. If that trend continues, and you could say maybe Golovkin took a little bit off of him. But as of right now, you can sort of chalk it up to a flat night. But he didn't look good. So you say Jacobs, although he fought Golovkin in a close fight, and I can understand some people thinking that Jacobs won that fight close. That's understandable. But he lost close on the scorecards. He was nipping at Golovkin's heels, but he sort of faltered a little bit in his last fight. Billy Joe Saunders, another top middleweight, you look at him and you say, will he ever get in there with top opposition? You know, it looks like he's got it all together. It looks like he's a complete fighter, almost. He doesn't have the punching power, but a very skilled fighter. But you say he's been in there with average opposition, so a lot of guys can look skilled against average opposition. Got to step it up in competition. So that's what you say with Saunders. I think that's coming soon. Hopefully he'll get in there with top guys. Charlo's another guy. Charlo's a guy who has the punching power, can end the fight immediately. Talks a good game. He's good for boxing in that he talks a lot of trash outside of boxing. I mean, outside of the ring. So there's a lot to like about Charlo as well. He just looks the part. However, the same thing, you say the same thing about him that you say with Saunders. He doesn't have that big guy on his resume. And with him, it's sort of different than Saunders. I think Saunders could have been in there with top opposition by now. With Charlo, there have been guys who just stay away from him. You know, he doesn't have the big fan following, and he can punch. So that's 2 strikes against him. So guys have been staying away from him. I don't think they can stay away from him any longer. I would love to see Danny Jacobs versus Charlo. You know, if we get Golovkin versus Canelo again in September, I'd like to see Jacobs versus Charlo, or Jacobs versus Saunders, or Charlo versus Saunders, something like that, something of that variety. But I don't see why we can't get Jacobs versus Charlo at Barclays. I think that would sell well at Barclays. So that's your middleweight division. That's your top 5. So you look at all that, you look at that picture, and you still say Golovkin is still the man at 160 for now anyway, because the truth about him as well is he's up there in age, so he's on the other side of his prime. You look at him and you say he's only probably got 2 or 3 years left of elite fighting. So, but the streak he's put together, and all the things you said about Charlo, you could say about Golovkin 3-4 years ago. Guys didn't want to get in the ring with Golovkin. Sergio Martinez wouldn't get in the ring with Golovkin. Cotto wouldn't get in the ring with Golovkin. Canelo stretched that out for 3 fights to where he wouldn't get in the ring with Golovkin. And Golovkin has put it together a pretty good streak to where it was Danny Jacobs, then Canelo, then he was going to fight Canelo again. That was going to be 3 straight fights where he's fighting top contenders and other champions. So he's doing everything right, man. There's really nothing to hate about Golovkin. The consummate professional. So hit me up. Let me know what y'all think about this. Golovkin is still the man at 160. Peace.